I'm gonna go through the 26 books that I read in 2024 and kind of give you an idea of if you should read them or if you should not read them. Some of these books I'm gonna have a lot to say about them, and some of those books I'm gonna have like nothing to say. That's not really a reflection on the book, that's more of a reflection on like my critical thinking skills. They're not great. I had a pretty solid year of reading. It definitely was not as good as last year, but 2023 was like my first year back into reading. My ratings may or may not, and most definitely probably do not reflect what I actually think of the book. They don't matter. We're not going to think about them. We can't go back is what I'm saying. There's so many books that I've rated weird ways. My ratings don't really mean much. I'm just giving you a recommendation on if I think you should read it or not. The first book I read in 2024 was In Sokcho. One of those books that it's like no plot, just vibes. Like nothing really happens, which is fine. I'm okay with having that kind of book every once in a while. I did enjoy it a lot. The next book I read in 2024 was Daisy Jones and the Six. The format is really fun because it's kind of like what I think of like, you know, those MTV like music interviews where it's just like people talking. It's kind of like that format. So it's a really fun format, and it kind of like helped me like fly through the book. So if you're looking for a book that you'll like finish quickly and it's a decent size, this is definitely one that you could pick up. I feel like I'm not saying anything of substance yet. Then we have Home Before Dark. Heard that this is like his best book or second best book. Some of the things kind of surprised me, but I did guess a bit of the plot. But yeah, I think this is an enjoyable read. If you are going to read a book by him, although I've only read 2, I would read this one and probably maybe leave it at that. And the next book that I read was Beautiful World, Where Are You? When I kind of finished this, I was like thinking in my head, which this might sound like super pretentious and super like, I know what I'm about to sound like, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like Sally Rooney books are to me what like normal romance books are to other people. Like I feel like this is my normal romance book, and I know that sounds super pretentious like I said, but I feel like it's true, and I just want to know if anybody else also feels that way. Next book that I read in 2024 was Legends and Lattes. I kind of randomly picked this one up, but it was actually really good and really fun. I know that there's more in the series and like the author has written more, but I don't have a super big desire to read the rest of them, but it is really cute and I definitely recommend it. And then I read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. This one was on my TBR for a very long time and I was very excited for this one, but it just wasn't for me. I love a weird book. This wasn't my kind of weird, which could mean it's somebody else's type of weird for sure, but it just sadly was not mine, which kind of sucks. Then I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I think I read this in a weekend. I didn't know it was young adult until I like went to buy it, and I was like, oh, it's in the young adult section. And it definitely is young adult, as the like, I'm not like other girls kind of vibe of like the main character is like, I'm not like other girls, I don't want to party, I want to solve this mystery or whatever, which is like funny to read as an adult now because you're like, oh my gosh, but like it's definitely something I think is needed when you are a middle schooler or like younger. You know, you grow up and you realize like, yeah, every girl is not like every other girl because we're all unique and we're all people and we're all different, like duh. Next book is Artemis. I enjoyed this one, but it's also my least favorite by Andy Weir so far. I think one thing is like I love like sci-fi and outer space stuff, but I'd rather read about like the exploration of space rather than like the colonization of space type of vibe, which this is like set on the moon and it like talks about the moon's like economic system a lot and you know whatever. But if you're gonna read an Andy Weir book, you have to make it this one. You have to make it this one. This is my favorite Andy Weir book. This is probably one of my favorite books ever, although I don't think I gave it that good of star rating. I love this book. This book is so good. This one is just okay. It happens. And then we have another short story collection that did not do it for me and was not my kind of weird, which is Life Ceremony. I've read every book that this author has published, and I just need to accept the fact that we are not on the same level of weird, and that's fully okay because I just haven't fully enjoyed any of her books like I was hoping I would. Next book is I'm Glad My Mom Died. I don't think you need me to tell you to read this book. This is definitely something that most everybody should read, which I'm sure most people already have because it was super popular. I was waiting to get it in paperback because I'm anti-hardback, but I ended up just buying it in hardback because I really wanted to read it, and it was definitely worth it. And then we have our second Riley Sagar book, which is The Last Time That I Lied. I just made up that title. The Last Time I Lied? Not that I lied. I don't remember much about this book. I remember it being fun-ish. It was fine. It was fine. It was fun. This is one of the books that, like, I don't reread books, but I feel like if I did reread this, like, 10 years from now, I would get a lot more out of it than I did now, and I think I did get a lot out of it now, but I just feel like this is one that's, like, definitely worth a reread in the future, especially, like, if you're a woman, because it, like, deals with a lot of, like, you know, woman things. And then I read The Giver. It's a good book. It is on school lists for reasons. I think it would have kind of hit me harder if I did read it at, like, the appropriate age to read it, like, if I read it, like, late middle school, early high school. But I didn't. I read it now, and I still really enjoyed it. I definitely think it is worth a read. I enjoyed this so much. I was, like, so surprised that I enjoyed this much. I was so confused for the first, like, 40 pages of this book, because it kind of, like, it starts at the end, and then we go back, so, like, you have no idea what's going on. And you, like, kind of piece things together as we, like, you know, tell the story, obviously. So for the first 40 pages, I was like, I don't know what's going on. But after that, I really, really enjoyed it. And then I read Everything I Never Told You, which was another really solid read. I don't really have much to say about this one, but it's definitely good. Like I said, some of these books I have nothing to say, although I would recommend it. I just don't know what to say. Talking about books is so hard. Oh my god. If you have favorite people who talk about books on the internet, tell them they're doing a great job for me, because this is difficult. And then we have Cursed Bunny. This is another collection of short stories, although this was the closest to my type of weird. Wasn't 100% my type of weird, but there were a couple stories in here that I really, really enjoyed. I do think if you are going to read any of the, like, short stories that I read this year, I think this would probably be my recommendation. I really enjoyed this book a lot, and it's definitely one that, like, I would recommend to a lot of my friends, especially ones who are, like, into video games. But I don't really have a lot to say it. I feel like this cover is, like, everywhere. And so if you've seen it, you probably know if you want to read it or not. And the next book is The Vanishing Half, which my second book that I've ever gotten from those, like, tiny free book libraries, which is very exciting. It was definitely something that I wanted to read and was going to buy eventually, but I got it for free. So free is always fun. I really enjoyed this book. I definitely think this is one that everybody should read. It's definitely one of those covers that you see everywhere and you're like, is that a book that I should read? And the answer is yes, you should read this book. And then the next book I read was the Ex Hex. This was definitely really cute. It's like a romance with magic type deal. I think it's a cute little fun spooky season introduction type of read. And then we have The Creative Act. I think I read it in the wrong format because I kind of, like, read it from beginning to end. Maybe I shouldn't have read it, like, as quickly as I read it and kind of, like, jumped in and gotten pieces when I needed pieces out of it. But I do think it is a good book, and I think there are good chunks of knowledge in here. And it's something that I have now and I can go back and reference, but I don't think I set myself up to read this in the way in which I should have. And then we have Nestlings, which this is my second Nat Cassidy book. And I don't really hear a lot about Nat Cassidy, but I have enjoyed both of the books that I've read by him a lot. I can tell that I actually really enjoyed this because it's basically a Rosemary's Baby type situation that's inspired by that. It kind of follows the plot of Rosemary's Baby. Obviously, it differs in a lot of different ways. But the movie Rosemary's Baby pisses me off so much. It makes me so angry, and this book did not make me angry. So that's how I know that, like, he did a good job with the subject matter, and I really enjoyed this. Every time I watch Rosemary's Baby, I just get so upset because of, like, but it's a movie of its time. Like, nobody's gonna believe this woman, and of course she self-doubts herself every step of the way, but it's like, girl, something is happening to you. I need you to understand. But the main character in Nestlings is a bit more proactive, or just believes herself more. Obviously, there is self-doubt and everything that she's going through, but she's stronger than the main character in Rosemary's Baby, Rosemary. I loved this book so much. I really, really enjoyed this one. This one's also a series, so I need to pick up the other ones really soon because I want to read them and want to remember what was happening in this one. It was such a good read, and getting to, like, the last page and the last few sentences, like, is like a gut punch. I think you should read this. If you're interested in this and you like horror, and even if you've seen The Ring before, I think you should definitely read this one. And then I read How to Kill Your Family. This one was on my TBR list for a very long time, and I should have taken it off, as in I shouldn't have read it. Which is maybe a sign that I should like go through my TBR and like reread synopsises and make sure I actually want to read the books that are on there. This just wasn't for me. It could be for other people, but it definitely was not for me. Then we have The Vegetarian. Again, not my kind of weird. Which is so, it was a sad year for Tabby weird books. Like, it was a good year for some books, but like weird books, I didn't read any Murakami this year, so that's probably was my downfall. But I have this weird thing with being weird. I feel like I sound super pretentious, like I said. Whatever this video is painting me as, the kind of person that it's painting me, is probably honestly true. I just don't want to admit it. The next book is Under the Dome by Stephen King. I don't know if you can tell by this entire section here that I'm currently blocking, but I love Stephen King. I have always loved Stephen King. The first Stephen King book I read was The Shining, and I read it when I was in 11th grade, and I was like, this is it. This is my stuff. I took a long break from Stephen King because, as you can tell, basically one of my full shelves is Stephen King, and before I had gotten back into reading, more than half of my books were Stephen King books. So I was like, I need to take a break. Let me read other things. This is something that like is a testament to his writing ability. He's like mastered that, like, oh, okay, we're with this character. We find out this information. Oh, we want to keep reading. Now we have to jump to this character. But then this character gets really interested and we want to keep reading. He's really mastered that and known like when he should step away from characters and when he shouldn't step away from characters. I'm just saying things. I love Stephen King. This is definitely one of Stephen King's books that I would recommend, although it is big, but it's really good. It's not really like a story, obviously. It's just kind of like literally conversations with her therapist. Like, she records the conversations, and it's just kind of them written out, which was definitely interesting to read. I did enjoy it and get a decent amount out of it. But this was my last book of the year. I've already kind of started. The first book that I'm reading in 2025 is The Bell Jar. But yeah, that was my 2024 reading wrapped up. I hope you guys enjoyed and got some ideas on what you could read for this next year. And I hope you have a great 2025 of reading, because things are happening in 2025 and I'm afraid, but it's okay because I have a lot of books to read. The Bell Jar is great. We're gonna make it through. So, yeah.